time for Soul Fusion Cafe, your cozy corner for connection, inspiration, and radiant wellness with your host, Jess Juntunen. Together, we are empowering ourselves from the inside out. Infuse your life with energy and vitality. Delve into the conscious creation of a life of soul-forward living. And now, sharing compassion, wisdom, and love, here's your host, Jess.
You're tuned into Soul Fusion Cafe, your place for radiant wellness and soul-forward living. Join your host, Jess Juntunen, quantum healer, intuitive, and midwife to the awakening spirit, as we dive into quantum tools, wisdom teachings, and integrated healing pathways for transformation. You can live a life of freedom to be without limitation. Cozy up, grab your tea, and enjoy this hour of expansion, wisdom, and love. Welcome to this very, very special episode where we have Indiiyah joining us today. And today's topic is really about Rise, Sisters, Rise. It's about the confidence to be. And we're going to be diving into all kinds of juicy tidbits and wormholes and rabbit holes all about this rising feminine and how we can really claim our own confidence, how we can really ignite our own divine feminine nature in this world right now that needs it so much, and we need it ourselves. And Indiiyah and I have been talking before we even began this episode, and we are diving into this journey. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here, Indiiyah. I'm so excited that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled. This is really great. I love connecting with you. I love listening to you, and it's so exciting to be part of it right now. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it's such an honor to have you here. Indiiyah and I have known each other a long time, but things are cooking and we're coming to, I think, a new up-level moment for both of us and our work together and the work that we're bringing out into the planet. And Indiiyah does so much amazing work on behalf of humanity and women. And I know that you have so many things cooking for us, and this is going to be wonderful. Yeah, I feel this is going to be so wonderful for those listening. Thank you.
Yeah, we know each other for a long time, right? It's crazy to think about. It's been a decade, but what an important decade it has been on the planet and in our lives, right?
Truly. Truly. And this woman is definitely a sister, and you are I feel like we mirror a lot, and it always tickles me. We've had a lot of similar experiences on our journeys of finding ourselves and stepping into our truth and empowerment. And today, really, we've been very ignited in our conversations about what it means to really be confident, like to really own our power. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that, becoming that confidence, becoming the empowered woman in this paradigm, in this world right now. What are your thoughts? What's coming up for you? What are you seeing and noticing?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I really love all that we discussed about, all the different aspects of being a woman. But I think it's not an energy that can really be separated, right? It's the rise of balance and harmony, and the rise of women needs to be louder in that in a lot of ways, because we were the one aspect of our humanity was repressed through repressing women, right? And there's repression of minorities, and we can go into a very long list, unfortunately, but it's stepping up for everyone. And you and I feel we're very much called to be part of the rise of women and supporting that. And I think it's such a big and complex topic. No wonder there are so many healers and teachers and people from all walks of life, right, working on this from all different perspectives, right? The big global awakening. So I think it's incredibly important. I think we have to talk about it. I think we have to find a lot of mercy towards each other in this process, because everybody's so passionate about their own thing. And sometimes when you can notice all these things that are so right in nature, and they can still kind of clash because they don't agree on one thing. Like I think what we need to most importantly understand is this is a moment to be seen for everyone. And whether they're right or wrong, everybody has been repressed, and we need to allow every single aspect of society, of culture, of races to come forth and be seen. And we need to just hold space for each other. Right now, and us women, we actually play a key role in it, no matter which part of the world we're from, because we hold that energy of compassion, of nurturing, and the word is birthing itself. So I feel very honored that one of the main causes I feel I'm being guided to support with my presence on this planet is the rise of women. And clearly it's a very passionate topic for me because of my entire life. I experienced so many of the very things we're fighting against for right now. So it's an exciting time to be alive. I think there's a lot to be grateful for, and I just really encourage everyone, right, to focus on the good stuff, because that's what matters. We can argue with the old stuff, but it's not going to really take us anywhere. Just create more fire. So
Absolutely.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time. And I love so much of what you're sharing here, that, you know, we all have this in us, and it's something that we're hungry for. And yes, everyone has, you know, we see many different maybe messages or people that are bringing forward some of this energy, but it's that we have to come together and find our commonality that's in there. But we all have our own unique way of shining and standing in our light. And this conversation, I think, is so interesting because, like, what has happened that got us here? You know, like, this is thousands of years, right, that the divine feminine, sacred feminine, goddess energy, you know, has been repressed. It's been repressed for thousands of years. It started way back, you know, with the rise of authority, really, and power. And
mostly,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think we even have to be willing to go beyond that a little bit and really understand. Like, I think the only way the divine feminine can truly heal is if we also at the same time open up, right? We're opening up to the energy of wholeness, and that means the divine masculine as well. And while the two have a different path to walk, I think it's very easy when we look at the divine feminine to really fall, even if from a higher perspective, but to kind of fall into the energy that says the victimhood. Like, in a way, it says the divine feminine has been repressed, which has been for so many times, right? And it's so, I mean, it frustrates and pains me. And like, I'm a very passionate woman about womanhood, right? But I think it's important to understand that, yes, but the man has been as well. Like, they have been perverted. They have been in a toxic pattern themselves. So it's really, I think it's interesting to look at the fact what happened to humanity, right? Right, how we came from. Let's forget for a second all the cosmic, right? The truth we already know. But if we just look at from the human perspective, there was a place where humanity itself started, right? And let's not argue right now because there's so many stories and so many people believe in different things. But we can agree that there was a time on this planet where there was a more primitive kind of version of the human that lived and created and so forth. And whether there were aliens here at the same time or not, right? Those are the cosmic parts. But the human aspect itself has been going through an evolution. And we went from one big group of very scared individuals running around the planet and trying to survive, right? We started refining, we started getting more complicated. And then this one big human, or several bigger human tribes, or whatever you want to call it, started falling apart. And I think it starts there. And then the more it started to fall apart, it started to get even more focused to this energy of separation. And then we started separating even more women, men, ethnicities, and so forth, right? But I think it's a huge scar of falling apart from day one, practically, right? Because that's part of it, but that's what's important to understand, that this separation is why we came here. Now we just need to understand it, and we need to walk through it and heal it, and heal everyone and hold everyone, so we can go to a totally different chapter of the experience of humanity, right?
Yeah, I love that. So many things you're sharing there. The separation aspect having happened for a long time, and as groups, separated, and then there becomes the identity of this group or that group, and then there starts to be a sense of separateness even more. And of course, we're talking too, like the divine feminine is not just for women. It's about men too. It's about everybody, whatever gender that you are, that we all have this aspect. But because it's been sort of balanced for so long, yes, men haven't been able to express their nurturing side or the receptive side or their ability to birth and create either. And just as women are really just finding and being safe to have that voice and that place in the world now, it's like, I think crucial to where we go next is coming back to ourselves and being very, like, the confidence piece, the piece of saying, I'm safe to stand here and share my message and share my gifts and nourish my life and the world in the way that I feel I was brought here to do. And for a lot of us, we don't even maybe know what that is. For the listener right now, it's going, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where my gifts are. I can kind of see it, but I don't understand how to get there. What are your thoughts on, like, what would help somebody that's just in that phase of like they feel like they're beginning, we have it in us, but what do we tell them? How do we
That's a
bring
great
that
question.
forward? Yeah.
I think the most important thing to understand is that we are the project. We are the thing to do, like our life and our growth. And when you get up in the morning, how do you feel through the day? And like, you're meant to get up, have a wonderful day filled with presence and joy. And sure, there are always challenges in life, but in general, or how's your life quality? Are you a happy, satisfied, fulfilled person? And that's, if the answer is no, and in a way, that's where we need to look at all those things that are no's or maybes and work on them. Because we always look for the thing to do or the solution as some outside force. And yes, there are amazing outside forces that can support us and that can give us breakthrough moments, and in all kinds of ways, whether we hire someone or just in life general. But the greatest thing, and what no one and no book and no pill and no miracle can do for you, is that, are you willing to be present with yourself in your day-to-day life and walk through it, and be willing to know that, hey, if I'm not, or if the things that are making me unhappy, I have the right and the power to change them, and keep focusing on being happy and on the good stuff. Like, I think this is the foundation of everything, because yes, you can take other paths. Clearly, you can be obsessed with one thing, whether it's money or family or others, or there's so many things we give our power to. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to, can you go to sleep? Are you feeling good? Are you falling asleep easily? Or are you a nerve wreck that couldn't handle the day before? Like, we need to get honest with ourselves and take responsibility for that state of being. And from there, anything is possible, really. Awesome. And I know that people don't like to hear that, because that's the last thing we want to do. Like, we want to read the book, we want to take the course, and we want to do the thing that's going to take us there. And we all have an idea of what there is for each and every one of us. But I think we need to start with, the foundation, which is us in every way. What would you say?
Yeah, and this kind of wraps into, it's making me think of something you said earlier, when you talk about responsibility. And you mentioned too that victim consciousness that can come in. And I think that is a key component of finding ourselves and our power, is to really drop those storylines of, like, somebody outside of me has to save me, so I need to sign up for the next course, or I need to find a teacher, I need to find the right tool. And of course we want to have all those support pieces, but you and I think both know we can spend a lot of money and time doing that and still find ourselves feeling like something's missing, because we have, like, all of that will get us only so far until we can say, I am responsible for the creation of my life. I'm responsible for the vision I see. And when you say, like, when we think we're going to get somewhere, that changes all the time, right? The place where we think we're getting to, the place where I thought I was getting to 5 years ago is not at all where I think I'm going now. For example, I'm like, I'm not even quite entirely sure. Now I'm accepting that, right? It's just, I'm going to be in service. And for me, that means honoring my own self and not compromising and not blaming the circumstances in my life, even though the circumstances do affect us, right? There's a lot of things going on in the world that are stacked against us stepping into our power. There's a lot of energy invested in keeping us from doing that. But if we allow ourselves to say, it's like, it's too hard, or being really angry. I mean, those are all phases we have to go through, but we're going to have, and that's fine. Whatever phase anyone listening is in, that's totally cool. But in order to really own our power and to be confident, we're going to have to say, okay, I'm going to use maybe my anger as a way to find out what really matters to me and do it, rather than sitting here and be mad about it. Or I'm going to stop giving my power to others. I'm going to do it from within. And I think it's huge right now. I think victim consciousness is at like an all-time high on the planet. It's a poor me. I mean, when I see and feel people that are really depressed and anxious, I get it, because I have lived those energies. They still sometimes dance with me. I think they will always indicate to me when I'm out of balance and out of my power. But it's like that time to say, okay, maybe I have depression energy, but I'm not going to be it. I'm going to do something that helps me feel better and not just use it as a way to not step into my power.
Yeah, because I think what people really, I think they do know, we just need to be willing to accept it, is that, first of all, we do have a choice. It doesn't mean, like, I have been battling severe depression and anxiety from the age of 5. This is one of the big parts of my story that I've had all kinds of certifiable, all kinds of labels all my life. But it's really hard to hear sometimes, but it's also important to hear that we do have a choice. And it doesn't mean that you need to choose happiness. It's not some flaky way of invalidation and saying, oh, your depression is not real. Oh, it's so real. It's so real. It almost killed me. It's very real. I know that. But I also discovered that we have power to change that. And when we realize that we do have a power, it still takes time. And that's the other thing we gotta, because see, we can have the big spiritual breakthroughs overnight where all of a sudden something clicks in your head and you're like, oh, I get it. Or, oh my God, I actually believe in it. Like, I start to remember it. Sure, we have those moments, right? Like, oh my God, those big moments. But those big moments have little to nothing to do with what you're going to do with what I previously said, getting up in the morning and what you're going to do today, right? The day-to-day life. And what I think is so crucial to know, because it helps people to save the energy of disappointment, right, is that it takes time. Like, think about for how many years we've been practicing being in the energy of depression or victimhood, or hopelessness, or financial lack, or whatever it is we're experimenting. We've been experiencing it. And funny I said experimenting.
I like that.
We've been experimenting with that for a long time as well. And now we're going to start experimenting with success and joy. And yeah, it doesn't matter that we know that energy, and we keep hearing the spiritual communities that that's your truth, your light. Yeah, I know I'm light, but right now I just feel like I suck and everything is heavy. Like, I know I'm light, but I can't do anything with it. I think we can all relate to that, right? That we know these things, but how are we going to live it? And I think that's the most crucial part of it. And that takes time for sure, because we've been practicing being stuck and depressed for 30, 40, 80, 20 years. Why do we think that the opposite, just because it's who we are, is going to work overnight? It's not. It's like a muscle you have, but you never use. It's going to take time to build it up, and there'll be days when it's going to be sore from all the workouts. But awakening and joy and success and empowerment and confidence, those are choices that you make every single morning when you get up. There's a song, and I'm just going to quote some pop culture here, but it touched me so much. I think the song says, confidence is throwing your heart through every brick wall. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. Right? Because confidence is getting up every morning and saying, I'm going to rock this. Even when I suck, like, because I will, like, getting up and thinking, oh, I'm awesome. And, you know, because I think we mistake confidence with this state of arrogance, of ego arrogance, that it says, I got this. And usually that has a big element of confidence in it as well, but it's a different idea. Getting up in the morning and thinking, oh, you are the king, and right? You have that idea of, I rule this word. It's very different than waking up every morning and saying, hey, I did rule this word, but maybe today I'll suck. Let's see how it goes, right? Because that's the divine nature being aware of the human, because we're here to experience the sacred union, right? I think that's a huge part of the confidence topic, that our body and our day-to-day life, that's part of this whole being that we are. We're not just some beautiful, you know, cosmic beings who got thrown in the wrong planet and now we're accidentally in this yucky muck and, ooh, I'm not gonna touch it. It's too 3D for me.
Yes.
It's also saying, yeah, this is my 3D part. Come on, sweetheart, let's talk. Right? So it's all of it. It's everything. And to understand that it takes time. But just because your process takes time, you can still enjoy it. You can still be abundant, right? I think this is like,
you don't have to wait till a certain time or place.
Meant to be taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's being confident in the messiness, in the human. And I just love this conversation, because I know we've both, through our conversations together, have experienced this where, you know, we have these awakenings and we know we're this light being. And I think everyone goes through this. If they get to an awakening moment and they evolve consciously and you're like, I'm a light being and I'm going to master this. And we don't want to touch the 3D. We don't want to touch the density experience. We say, oh no, I don't want to deal with my bank account. I don't want to deal with, you know, the heavy emotions. I don't want to talk to anybody that doesn't get me, you know, and that's just trying to live in a bubble and saying, like you said, oh, I just got to this planet and I need to get off of it, right? Ascension really is about being able to bring our light to this planet and to the muck and the humanness and all of it. And remember, even in those moments, that we're divine, but that we get to be here and play. And I think sometimes too, we just forget that it gets to be play. I think that's part of confidence too, is that I'm trying this on today, you know, and maybe I'm going to be messy today, but I believe in myself that this is my process. I'm going to own this. Yeah.
I think what's good to note maybe though is, I see this is honestly, the other day I was sitting and I had these downloads coming, and it was revelation after revelation that surely every topic we look at has two sides, and both sides always have a little truth in it, right? Because here and this, like, we need to, I think, really develop a new culture where we really go past the 2-second videos and the 2-second posts and really start bigger conversations, because we're all capable of having them, because the truth is complicated. Like, on one hand, it's really important to know that don't avoid the word. Don't avoid the 3D. Deal with the mess. That's what you were born into, first of all. You carry some yourself. So we all got to deal with it, right? Everybody's got some gardening to do, as I say, like every single one of us. And that's okay. But there's a huge difference, because this is where the ego can kick in and toxic patterns can take place and say, oh yeah, I'm in an abusive relationship, but it's just part of my process. And that's when I say, yes and no. In a way, sure, because you was part of your process. But the moment you become aware enough to say, oh, this is not good for me, well, yeah, it's just part of my process. In that moment, it becomes spiritual bypassing, right?
Right.
And I'm not to say that it's always easy to act on our awareness. Clearly, it takes time and, again, some practice. But it's also important to know that just because we have to deal, like I have to go and deal with something with the text thingy now, right now. And of course I don't like it. And I have to go into the building, and I already know that it can work because it's going to give me a headache. That, you have to prepare for 3D, and that's fine. But it's also important to know that there's 3D, and then there's allowing things to happen to us that we're aware of in this notion that, oh, it's just part of my life as well, right?
Right. We have to be responsible, and it's fine wherever you're at if you want to sit there and swim in it. But there is that moment of saying, do I have the courage? And I think that's another piece of confidence is, do I have the courage to choose what's best for me? Yeah, maybe this is part of my process, can be a cop-out or a way of spiritual bypassing, like you said, where we're just allowing things to happen to us. And we're allowed to do that. That's the beauty here, right? We've experienced and mastered and done a lot. Like, yes, I'm very good at, letting things happen to me and then dealing with them. Sure, that's a part of the process, but do I want that to be how I approach every day? If I'm in, for that example, like an abusive relationship, I might say, okay, this is part of where I need to be and this is how I'm learning, but that could be a way too of we're not owning our own power then. We're just allowing ourselves to, explain why. And I mean, there's no wrong, but it can be a lot more empowering when we get in the driver's seat and own our own story, when we say, okay, enough. And when does that point come? It's different for everybody, right? When do we say enough? I'm going to have the courage and confidence to stand in the truth of what I just believe is right and what I believe I want to see more of in my own life or for others. I'm just loving this conversation. Do you have other thoughts on that?
I think it's great how we always vibe, and I think this is a big topic, right? Certainly,
yes.
Because there's a reason why there's so many amazing women set on the path of. Because I realized, honestly, just a few days ago when it really crystallized for me. Like, I always wanted to empower women, but I needed to heal out of my last abusive relationship as well, right? I needed to heal out of the certain patterns, because you can't just say, hey, I'm here to lead you, but then I go home and I'm not going to do what I'm telling you to do, right? I think that's a crucial part of all kinds of growth, especially when we're accepting the mission of leading, of stepping up, of being way showers for people. So it's a huge responsibility. It involves a lot of growing and healing, but it's a huge mission, and there's a lot to talk about, and there are a lot of aspects. And I think one of the most important messages is that we love you. We love all of you. We love each other. And really, it's so cliche, but it's so true, right? And I'm so happy it's starting to become a cliche that we see it so often, but we just need to really see it and take it in, right? Not just see it with our sensory end and just let it go. That we need to love each other. We need to let women be women, because we have a whole world in a lot of ways against us, in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's hidden behind other agendas. Maybe it doesn't look sexism, maybe this and that, but we all know that being a woman is not easy, and there's a lot of us working on it already. But we need everyone, whether it's just someone who feels like they never want to be part of. Maybe some people. I think there's such a great misunderstanding around the word feminist, what it means, and how things are turning around. I think we need to support women. We need to start there. We just need to support women, and then step by step, we are going to heal ourselves as well, and what a woman is and is not, maybe will crystallize. But a woman is still a million things, and something that I could never ever imagine, maybe something super cool and happy for someone else. I think it's important to let go of judgment, and we have to clearly start with ourselves.
Yes, it all does. Starting with ourselves.
Absolutely. There's no way around it.
Right. And that idea, as you're talking, it just keeps bubbling forth, that, that collaboration over competition, that's something that I think really threw us all out of balance because of the separation that we've experienced and gone through as humans. There's this idea of scarcity then, that there's not enough and I have to make sure
because
I have the
most.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have to understand that, like, for women, one of the reasons we were hating each other, because there was not enough for everyone. Like, right? If you just think about it, at the beginning, it's so funny. I was just listening to this the other day, the beginning of entrepreneurship. And of course, they didn't call themselves prostitutes, but I wouldn't recall the perfect term way back then, right? But that was like one of the first things women ever did. That this is, right. You're not going to take care of me. I'm going to sell my own. Like, if you think about it, and it's so funny how now, women are being shamed for their sexuality. I'm like, our sexuality has always been the only power we ever had. And that's not our fault.
Exactly.
It's not my fault, right? Because I so understand, like, I used to be so scared of women. I'm not scared of men. Because I get them and they're not whatever. So, I absolutely own that. I've definitely been a woman who would always say, well, she can get everything. I'm like, because it's easy. But this is just how us women have been raised, so to speak. You're either being put into this very good girl, sit at home and don't say anything and let everyone decide you, which is, it's not been me. Since the moment I came out of my mother, I said, no, like that's a no for me. And then comes the very rumbling road of shame, all kinds of ways through life, and guilt and attacks. And from women as well. And I think, right, that's the heart, that we have been forced to be against each other, right? Because another woman is going to be, there's so little space for us in the world. Maybe sometimes some wives or certain women or lovers or this and that could get somewhere in the world, whether it's traveling or any kind of position, right? But then you have to be in the right place. You have to be cunning. You have to
right.
It's crazy. I don't think people understand how hard it is to try to control or charm your way into a situation. That's not a joke. That's not a fun thing to do.
And in a lot of ways, it's like strategies, that are more of the masculine energy, which of course we all have those aspects in balance, right? Masculine, feminine. But for a lot of women to get ahead in that way have had to give away the aspects of what makes them feminine or amplify the sexuality piece or something, but also to really we've given ourselves away, or we've given our power away, or we've gained it by using strategies that aren't exactly in alignment with our true nature.
It's horrible. And we women, we need to stop hating on each other. And
yes.
We need to understand that some women, found their way in the system by blending in. Like everybody, I've seen recently with politics, a lot of people attacking women saying, how can you be on the side of? How can you be on the side of this and that, right? So it's important, I think, to understand that where we came from. And as I said, some women found their place through fitting in, right? That's how, for example, there are now people against women, like women against women, supporting men and so forth, because that's one way to fit in the system. That you become the absolute supporter of men, and then they will say, you see, you're a good woman. Everybody
right, and then you have to be the good girl, right? Then
you're the respected, but that's a respected position in the world. Like, we can hate on each other, but that's just the truth. That women, that's one way for women to fit in. The other way to fit in is to totally, I don't know how they do it, die within. Probably it's a mean thing to say, and they would say it's not true, but become everything that you need to be. Quiet, cook, raise the kids, keep quiet, stay out of everybody's way, right? And that's it. You're just a home. And for a lot of women, they say that's enough for them. And I don't think we have the right to judge them either. Because if that works for them, that's what they accepted, and they let them, right? But there are also women who want to do whatever, right? Who want to be loud, and there are a million levels in between. But there's so many beings and so many women, and it's hard to be a woman in every way. So zero judgment. Like, I think we really need to just love each other and be nice to each other in general, women, and let them wear short skirts or go in an underwear party, whatever, and then the other person stay home with your book and dressed in a onesie. I don't care. It's everybody to their own, and let them enjoy it. But I think that's one of the most crucial steps. Like, we gotta stop hating on each other and teaching our daughters to look at other women as I don't know, like competition or whatever. It doesn't matter. We just need to love each other a little bit.
Yeah, the energy of comparison, competitiveness. It's time for it to go. And I'm seeing there's a hunger for it, and it's rising now. This is something that is happening, and it's really, really exciting to me that we are better together. We're stronger together. And I think women's power has always been in that we can come together and we can make powerful things happen when we gather together around our commonalities, and celebrate our differences, and that it's time for that. And that is where the greatest shifts come. Like, not doing it by ourselves in a bubble. It's that we're connected. And the divine feminine asks us to remember we're connected. And if that's like the greatest slayer of all, is if we allow ourselves to feel that we're so different from each other, or that we have to get ahead of each other in order to just fight over the scraps that are left on the table. That it's that time that we're doing it and owning it. And, whether or not, a woman is, at home and that's where she wants to be, or if she's being sexual or a sex worker and that's what she wants to be, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's that we support each other and the common goal for like just greater love and expression in a space for everybody to have their voice and everybody to have enough. There's more than enough for all of us. And that scarcity is dying, that we don't have to live in that anymore. And we get to be the ones that create.
And if you think about it, scarcity also comes from fear. And when we look at the whole, like how hard it is to overthrow the power in the word, in the sense of that has been repressing women, it can become so overwhelming, right? And when we feel powerless and overwhelmed, we attack each other more. But this is the exact thought that you were saying that helps us move past it, is that we're all connected. So the greatest thing we can actually do is indeed focus on our own self, even if at times it feels like the little thing to do. Because when we take care of ourselves, our well-being and our success, everything, our energy, energetically affects every woman on the planet. So choosing yourselves and choosing happiness and choosing joy. And, I'm busy with that recently as well, helping people start their businesses, like daring to allow ourselves to have all kinds of successes, right? Especially successes that used to be reserved for men mostly, right? It's fun to have that. It's okay to have those healing moments. We don't have to go from, suffering into enlightenment where we don't care about those things. Go care about your things. Go care about your hobbies. Go care about all these things, and then allow yourself to enjoy life. And this is the most important. And if you want to spend the majority of your time serving your family and being home and cooking and whatever, do that. I love to cook. I love to do just things when I feel like it. Like, I'm not the person who always wants to do it, but I love to do those things. But, let everyone enjoy themselves. I do want to say something, though. Like, I was kind of giggling a second ago because, sure, let's be vocal about this, right, in a radio show. But the only thing, though, I think no one should give up, though, no matter what you choose. Like, there have to be minimum standards of well-being. And that means feeling love, taking care of yourself, and having a really, really good sexual life. Like, every woman deserves that, no matter where you are, right? Because I think it's so easy to... Because when you were saying sexuality, or if they want to be a sex worker, and for a second it just clicked in me thinking, so often we mix those two together, right? Like, we somehow feel like that sexuality belongs only to the wild ones. But I think that's in the topic, and that's what we were talking about before we came on the show, and it's very important for every woman to know, and this is like an international global announcement right here, and hope everyone hears it, that you deserve to have an absolutely extraordinary sex life. Whether it's with yourself or with a great partner, again, it's not a reason to feel victimized in a situation, but we need to embrace ourselves as women and embrace who we really are and allow ourselves to enjoy life in a lot of ways. But I think it's important for women to be able to bring that into the conversation as well, right?
I'm so glad that you're bringing it into the conversation because we were talking about it earlier. Yeah, we're like, we should recording this now because it's so important. And I think it's such a piece of becoming confident too, is to own our sexuality and our sexual nature. And that, yes, it doesn't mean, it's come to mean so many things because sex became so taboo for so long that sex for enjoyment with yourself was not even allowed. That was like a sin for many, many people for a long time, right? That
they built the church on it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not here to... I come from the church, so I'm an ex-church person who still even misses parts of it. Like, if you spend enough time there, it's weird to leave. But there's a whole dogmatic tradition built on the guilt and the evilness and the sin of women, which is just so offending. Like, I used to offend me even back in the days. Like, I used to sit there and think, I love God and I really want to be a good Christian, but this can't be right. Can it? Like, why am I less? Why am I bad? Why am I, fathered by birth. Like I didn't even have a chance. So it really used to piss me off.
I think it is like a key way of coming back to our power is to own our sexuality, to say, this is my sexuality and this is how I express it, because it was taken away from us or demonized or viewed as bad, and it's just ingrained. Like we were talking about earlier, you do something enough, it's ingrained. So it's been ingrained in us since we were little girls. It's been ingrained in us since our ancestors carried it. It's been ingrained in our culture. It's been an energy that's been prevalent. So we're really learning something that is innate to us, but we have to remember it and work it out so that it starts to become our new normal. And I think it's so important to have this conversation. How do we embrace our sexuality and sex itself? That it's something that is very sacred, and it's such a important balance of giving and receiving and creation energy. Look at our whole planet. Our planet is a planet of sex. That's what happens in nature in the springtime. It's everybody's having sex. The trees are, the birds are, and everybody's doing it. And then everyone hears all those jubilant sounds of spring. That's what we're listening to. It's creation in action.
Yes. And it's a beautiful thing. Like it's crazy how sexuality for everyone, and it's not even good for men either, that, what has happened, that it has been just twisted so much in so many ways, and it has become so corrupted. But I think that's absolutely a foundational part of empowerment, because if you just look at it energetically for a second, as long as we close that down, we're directly closing down the first chakra, which directly affects Kundalini, the second, and our entire energy flow. Like, sex is such a normal part of normal, healthy well-being and existence, and having those energies open and flowing, it takes away from our well-being, from our energy, from our creation power, from everything. And that's just who we are. Like, I think what we need to do with a lot of things, and whether it's energy, talking about energy, or talking about sexuality, is to really remove those layers and just realize that these are totally normal things we talk about. And the moment we let go of this conditioned sense of weirdness around it and just say, this is who we are, then it all becomes normal. And then it's insane, truly. There are no words to describe what it does to our lives and our energy when we have it and when we don't, when we have this sort of energy going on.
Yeah, it is. It's the energy of creation. I love thinking about it too, from the energetic perspective that you brought in. And something came up too when we've been sharing is, the boundaries that we have, healthy boundaries, right? So often sex it has been more of a power thing, right? Having power over somebody or having your power taken from you, right? And it's like about claiming our, what words am I looking for? It's about claiming our empowerment in that, saying, this is how I want to experience sexual energy in my life, whether that is with myself or with a partner, but I'm honoring my boundaries for what feels healthy and happy.
You know what I just wanted to say? It's like a prayer. And I don't want to upset anyone, because I really, I didn't want it to disgrace the word prayer for anyone. But when you really go deep with it, so to speak, when you really discover it, because sexuality and the energy of sexual joy is so multi-layered. And I don't mean to disgrace the word prayer, because prayer is the single most important thing in my life. Really, it has been always. And even back in church, prayer has always been more of a conversation for me. But it's so deep for me. It's so sacred. It's so important. And when we really, really allow ourselves to find very deep enjoyment in sex, then it can take you somewhere where only prayer can go, or maybe even beyond that, because it takes you beyond your brain. It opens up your energy system and yourself so much. And and when you're really doing it in a safe and sacred environment, when there's that whole consciousness around it, that this is where it leads. As I said, whether with yourself or with a partner, like you don't need anyone to experience this, but then you can reach a realm that is beyond everything, and you feel yourself closer to God or source or the universe or whatever you want to call it. And then you realize in that moment that how sacred it is and how it's so vulnerable and it's so powerful at the same time. It's one of the most perfect moments of being a human. And this is why I think it's important, and I'm starting to feel it's going to be an important message I'll share often from now on. Then we need to embrace that, and we need to remove all this stuff that we put on sex, except that the only thing about it is that it needs to be truly consensual, like really, truly, fully, not just, having a gun under the table, whether it's an emotional one or a financial one or a real, it doesn't matter. That does not count as consensual. But really, when we create this free environment, it's the most beautiful way of self-exploration and expression. And it is like a prayer. It's like going home for a moment. And I think we need to bring humanity back to that experience as well, because it's such a crucial part of being a human. And it's such a sacred part, and it's so beautiful. And it's also not something we ever should feel ashamed about. Like, whatever you like. Please love yourself, or give yourself. Or if you're scared of knowing what you like, then love yourself for that as well. I think it's just simply an energy that needs to be liberated. And especially for women, you become a different person when you discover your sexuality. It gives you it's really like an energy. Like all of a sudden your body, you stand up straight and your entire energy shifts. And that's an experience every woman, every man and every woman, but I'm here to root for women especially. So every woman needs to experience and have, and find yourself through there, because it's just different. You're normal with your body.
I absolutely love everything that's being shared here and the liberation. And I love thinking of it as a prayer. I love bringing that energy in because, our whole life can be like that prayer. That we're connecting, having that conversation with God, with the divine. And to do that through our sexual energy, through coming home to our sexual nature and exploring that, is an ultimate way of finding our way to God, Goddess. So let's use this as kind of a jumping point into a wrap up, of our confidence and empowerment as women in this conversation about our sexuality, and using that as a way to explore our own truth, who we are, and how that is going to really help us birth, right? Because it's all about, we talked about this earlier too, before we got on the call, that we are very much able to bring this energy into physical birthing. Like if we're birthing a baby, that it can be this beautiful vortex of creation and sensuality and orgasmic births and those things. But isn't it all just so much mirroring our own process of birthing ourselves? The universe, or the yoni-verse, as some call it, I love that, is really this act of birthing, of wild, ecstatic creation. Yes. And that this is such a pathway to birth our own selves and to discover ourselves anew. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's right. Everything is a mirror. This is why I also said, like, we need to get accustomed to having big conversations and always leaving the endings open, so to speak, because there's so much to see, to understand how we're growing, we're birthing, and everything is mirroring everything. It's complex, but at the same time, it's also so simple. So it's really like the age of paradox, where everything is one thing and another. And I think it's a magical time. I think it's the most chaotic time the universe has ever seen. I honestly feel that. I don't think there has been such energetic chaos, and at the same time, of course, richness and beauty that's going on. And how beautiful that every single one of us have a role to play. How important, how good it is to know that. And I really hope all the listeners really can take that in, that we all matter. And how beautiful that is, that what sometimes feels so like an insignificant life, often when we do the same thing day after day and no one even notices and so forth, that we still matter, because every moment our energy is in contact with the energies around it, and that has an effect. And that whatever we do, we keep blessing those things on the world. And I think it's worth claiming that state of self-responsibility and say, what do I want to contribute to the world today? Because we do contribute every single day. Even when we sit home and binge watch something alone, even then our energy is contributing, right?
Absolutely. We're never, even if we feel like we're stuck or in inertia, that is actually an active energy. We're just using a lot of energy to stay stuck. We're never really truly not in action or motion. So what are we committed to? Asking ourselves that, I think every day, like, what am I committed to contributing to my world, even if it's just, my little corner? Because when we lift our own vibration, when we step into our own truth, we are holding that space for so many others to do it. And we know from that space, in our empowered state, when we do take action in a bigger role, maybe, in our family or community or the global community, it comes from our inner alignment, and we have such a greater impact. And really something you said too a few moments ago, like that there's so much chaos, and let's not forget that it is from chaos, that the goddess was born. It is from the chaos that the feminine births and creates. And it's like very exciting to me to say, wow, it's all bets are off. There's no limit on what we can create or achieve from this.
Yeah, really just take that in, right? Like really feeling that, like there are no limits. Like we can really do anything. And that can be totally scary too. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like the ego is so cute. It gets scared, like, oh, I'm too limited. And then I'm too limitless.
Yes. What does that mean? That's scary. Yeah. It's unknown. And there will be that push and pull in us too that says, no, I'm going to go back to playing small. But, I think the most important takeaway is that for anyone listening, your success is really guaranteed. If you keep going and you even if you feel like you went backwards or you feel like you got stuck, you learned something through that, or something happened and you learned a new way or learned a new choice next time or whatever. But your success is guaranteed. You came here with a mission. You're going to do it. Just keep walking, and it comes down to this, like, we have to come together and encourage each other. Like, hey, I'm doing it, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm doing sometimes, but I'm doing it. And I'm saying hell yes to myself and to my part. You can do it too. And I think when each of us steps forward and does that and doesn't try to be perfect and just allow ourselves to be our own messy, beautiful selves, we show others that it's okay to do that too. And support that sister, support others, reach out, let them know. By being seen is the most primary way to start that. But I think we just have to stop being afraid of having the conversations.
Yeah, as you said yourself, right? As you said, instead of reaching out and celebrate your sisters, celebrate each other. I know this is so funny, and I'm gonna sound funny to some of you as well, but I had a moment where I found myself judging a celebrity for her, and I won't even be shy about it. It was the Kardashians, and it's something that I didn't even understand. It's such a U.S. thing, and I'm from Europe, and it was just hard for me to comprehend it.
I don't.
I don't even know what it is. Once I checked it out, because I really, like, it's always in your face, even if you don't do anything. Like, I don't watch news. I don't, like, you cannot avoid certain things if you're on this planet. Well, this is one of those things. But the reason why I bring it up, because I'm sure we all can relate to the experience. So we just judge a woman, right? We all been there for a reason. We all experience it, what it's like to judge another woman. And I realized one of the crucial parts right now is to really not to judge anyone and say, I'm so happy you're successful. I don't care what you did. I don't care how. I'm so happy you're successful. And just the reason why I brought it up to close, to really show that we all have that. We all have that moment. Let me just judge women. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. Why? Whether they have too long hair or to call them too plastic. Like, it doesn't matter where you are from the world. I'm sure there's a type of woman you learn to judge. And just to let it all go and let it be a new mantra for all of us every day, that we're going to spend a moment celebrating other women, because that will help us heal the wound we have in ourselves as well that says, oh, I shouldn't be too successful. I shouldn't reach my dreams. I shouldn't do this and that. because there's that energy of judgment around it. And I think it's just a great thing. Every morning or every day you want is just practice being grateful and celebrating other women, and then seeing yourself in that position that you're next, whatever it is for you, right?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Spending time. I love that. It's really practical too. We can all do that. How am I going to celebrate another woman or other women today, every day, asking how are we celebrating? And then when we catch ourselves judging, also to just say, oh, I was judging, and to not judge ourselves for judging, just recognizing it.
Yes, because I love both parties. Yeah.
Right. Because how much do we judge our own selves? And that's usually where it's just coming from, so just actually having the grace to just say, oh my gosh, I was judging, and I can release that now and let that go and celebrate, this woman. I think that's so important. And I feel like we could keep going and going and going, because I have a million more thoughts to follow up on that. But we are winding down. We've been here for about an hour exploring all of these topics about, the rising sisterhood and rising confidence and how we empower ourselves to be that. And if anybody's just tuning in, you can always go back and check out this at the archives at Self Ascension Studios or at Oneness Talk Radio. And YouTube Oneness Talk Radio, and catch up with this whole conversation that Indiiyah and I have been having today. And as we are closing up, Indiiyah, do you have, first of all, how can people reach you or find out more if they want to connect with you?
Oh, thank you. Sure. My website is just getting redone, so I'm very excited about that. It's Indiiyah, INDIIYAH.com. I hope I did that right.
Yes.
And and also on Facebook, I have the page of Women of Awakening, and things are growing, and I'm always looking forward to support people, and there are just some new free programs are coming out as well. So there's a lot of stuff always to choose from. So thank you for asking, and thank you for having me. I mean, I'm really looking forward to connecting with you more, and I love all that you represent, right? Just to celebrate another woman. I am celebrating you, and it's so great to see how far we've both come, and how we're here and we're doing it, and we've embraced the mission, and oh my gosh, we all had our ups and downs, and I'm sure we will have some more, but it's different now, and
it's our time.
I want to say I love you, and thank you so much for bringing me in for this conversation. It was really beautiful. Thank you so much.
We're doing it together. We're growing together. I celebrate you, and I receive your celebration of me. And we are celebrating each and every one of you listening right now. Absolutely. Feel our love. We love you. We understand, and we're here. Check out Indiiyah's work. Check out my work, and stay tuned, because I think we might have some co-creation goodies coming your way very soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Soul Fusion Cafe with Jess Juntunen. Connect with Jess and learn more at her inspiration hub, selfascensionstudios.com, and over on Instagram at JoyLoveJess and Soul Fusion Cafe Radio, or over at Facebook at Self Ascension Studios and Soul Fusion Cafe Radio. Thank you for listening. See you next week. Namaste and many blessings.
You've been listening to Soul Fusion Cafe with Jess Juntunen. To continue the conversation, learn more, and for extra inspiration, join Jess at her inspiration hub, www.selfascensionstudios.com. That's SELFASCENSIONSTUDIOS.com. And over at Instagram at Soul Fusion Cafe Radio. See you next week for more inspiration and connection.
Jess Juntunen, and you're tuned into Oneness Talk Radio. One world, one voice. Expand your vision.
Are past lives real? Did Atlantis really exist?
Have you ever been visited by others in your dreams?
Is an astrology chart a map of your soul?
Join us each week at Spirit's Journey on Oneness Talk Radio.
You'll get answers to these questions and more each Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central. Are relationships based on soul contracts?
What is the quickest way to undo karmic ties?
Are we bound by universal laws, or do we have free will with no consequences?
How can we access the wisdom of the Akashic Records?
You'll receive practical guidance to live your sweetest life. We'll explore dreams, astrology, intuitive readings, life purpose,
karma, past lives, healing, and so much more. Learn about what we do at intuitiveschool.com.
We want to hear from you. Connect with us, ask questions, and continue the discussion on Facebook at Spirits Journey Radio.